The reason I moved to Vegas is the same reason that they're busting indoors and killing squirrels in New York. It's because there's too much government overreach. I lived in Springfield, Missouri, and I was in a custody battle with my ex-wife over my children. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was on over $120,000 worth of medication a year. That's before inflation. It's probably much more now. And that's not including all the procedures. That's just the shots and the pills. I went to a cannabis convention in Colorado, and it opened my eyes to a whole new form of medication. I learned a lot there. I was able to visit a dispensary. I was able to legally use, and I legally use because cannabis is a Schedule I narcotic in the United States, meaning it has no medicinal value. So in our federal government's eyes, the cannabis has no medicinal value. It has no medical uses. Cocaine is a Schedule II because it has medical uses with dentistry and other facets. So if you're in child support court, the justice system that's blind looks at you differently for having cocaine than marijuana. They look at you more harshly on a federal level for having marijuana than they do for having cocaine. In 2017, I was in Missouri, and I was in the middle of a custody battle for my children, and I was also had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease that reacts with inflation in my inflammation in my body causes havoc. And I was on over $120,000 worth of medication in 2017. That's not including the procedures, the doctor's appointments, the MRIs, the Botox shots in my legs to stop the spasming. And I was invited to go to a symposium in Colorado. And I went and I learned an awful lot about cannabis. And I was able to visit a dispensary and use legally. And when I say legally, on a state level, but it was still illegal federally. Cannabis is a Schedule I narcotic in the United States, meaning it has no medicinal value. So in our federal government's eyes, the cannabis has no medicinal value. It has no medical uses. Cocaine is a Schedule II because it has medical uses with dentistry and other facets. So if you're in child support court, the justice system that's blind looks at you differently for having cocaine than marijuana. They look at you more harshly on a federal level for having marijuana than they do for having cocaine. And if, with the way the laws are, if I had gone back to Missouri and I had faced a drug test and tested dirty for marijuana, I would have lost access to my children. That's how far that can be pushed. And when I tried cannabis for the first time, cannabis, marijuana, some of you may know it by different names. When I tried cannabis for the first time, my tremors started to settle down. My hand used to be drawn up at my chest, and I didn't have a lot of use of my left hand, and I didn't have a lot of use of my left foot or left leg in general. And after cannabis use, I'm able to use my left arm and my left leg. It unlocked a whole new world for me, and I went back to Missouri and realized how much of a prisoner I was in my own country. And I had to fight for my children, but I had to fight for myself too. With all the medications and the procedures, I didn't know how long I was going to last. I was getting worse and worse. So I moved to Vegas in 2017, that summer, and started medicating with cannabis. Very shortly, I was started to take uh, relief from all my medications. I stopped the shots, stopped the procedures, and I haven't been back to my neurologist in years. Um, that is a huge change. Um, and I couldn't have it because the government told me I couldn't have it. Even though the Department of Health and Human Services has a patent for THC as a neuroprotectant. Those that information just kind of blew my mind when I found that out. Our government owns a patent for one of the things that I need to control my multiple sclerosis. I need an anti-inflammatory and I need a neuroprotectant. And cannabis gives me both of those. But you can't patent a plant. So there's a synthetic, they created a lab version of it. It was a synthetic version. So this patent is on the synthetic form of THC, and they put it in a pill, Drahabanol, or something like that. This is the patent tattooed on my arm for THC as a neuroprotectant owned by our government that I can't have under threat of arrest, property seizure, forfeiture of children. That's why I had to run to Las Vegas to get freedom. But I'm still under the claws of the federal government out here, having to watch my back like a criminal for medication that comes from a plant, not a pharmaceutical that comes from petroleum that actually attacks my body and doesn't help me, but it doesn't generate money for them. And the pharmaceutical company needs to get paid. Money is the grease that keeps the gears going. And everybody who has their hand out that's in the system. And nobody gets paid when somebody can cure themselves or heal themselves with a plant. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of controls out here. It's not fixed. You can't just grow it and make sure that kids can't get to it and have it for yourself. You have to go through all the regulations of the dispensary, and that has its own set of problems. But when we have to run in our own country for freedoms from our government becomes tyrannical. Some people say, oh, well, marijuana or cannabis, that's the devil's lettuce. Well, not only did my government patent it and say that it's good, the Bible in Genesis 1:29 tells us that God gave us every seed-bearing plant and told us it's good. So who's wrong here? Do you believe God's wrong, or do you not even believe in God? If you don't believe in God, that's on you. But if you believe in God, what does Genesis 1:29 tell you? Last time I checked, cannabis has seeds. God said it was good. Who are you to say it's bad? Who is our government to say it's bad? In closing, remember to say your prayers, get out and vote, and unite. Love wins in the end. Kind of like I talked about Genesis 1:29. If you read the back of that book, we win in the end. We just have to unite and love each other.